Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher, cultural critic, composer, poet, and philologist. His work had a profound impact on modern intellectual history. Nietzsche's ideas revolved around the concepts of good and evil, the end of religion in modern society, and the concepts of the Superman, or Übermensch. Nietzsche's most famous idea is the proclamation that God is dead, which appears in his work Thus Spoke Zarathustra. This statement reflects Nietzsche's belief in the shift away from religious morality towards a new form of values defined by the individual. His style is often aphoristic, challenging traditional philosophies and promoting individuality and self-reflection. However, his works are complex and can be interpreted in various ways, which has led to many misunderstandings and controversies. Now let's simulate a conversation with Nietzsche. Remember, these responses are AI generated and shouldn't be taken as Nietzsche's actual words or beliefs. So let's start with one of the most well-known ideas. God is dead. Could you explain what you meant by this?
The proclamation, God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? Is indeed one of my most recognized statements. It appears in my work, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and it has been the subject of much interpretation and controversy. When I say God is dead, I am not making a theological statement, but rather a cultural and philosophical observation. I am commenting on the declining role of traditional religion and Christian morality in modern society. The death of God symbolizes the abandonment of traditional moral and metaphysical beliefs, which were once the foundation of Western society. This death is not something to be mourned, but rather acknowledged as a sign of a profound cultural shift. It opens up the possibility for new values, for the reevaluation of all values, as I put it. It paves the way for the Overman or Superman, the individual who can create their own values and meaning in the absence of divine or universal truths. However, this freedom also comes with a great responsibility and risk. Without the guiding framework of traditional religion, there is the danger of nihilism, of falling into despair or meaninglessness. This is the challenge of the modern age as I see it.
You talked about the risks and dangers of nihilism. A lot of people consider your work nihilistic. What would you have to say about that?
This is a common misunderstanding of my philosophy. While I did write extensively about nihilism, it was not to endorse it, but to diagnose it as a problem facing modern society. Nihilism, the belief that life is without objective meaning, purpose, or intrinsic value, is a consequence of the death of God, the decline of traditional religious beliefs and moral values. I saw it as a danger, a potential outcome of the loss of a shared moral framework. However, my philosophy is not a celebration of nihilism, but a response to it. I propose the idea of the Overman and the will to power as ways to overcome nihilism. The Overman creates their own values and meaning in life, while the will to power is the driving force that enables us to assert ourselves and affirm life, even in the face of suffering and hardship. So, while my work does engage with nihilistic themes, it is ultimately a call to move beyond nihilism, to affirm life, and to create our own meaning and values.
You mentioned the Superman as the individual who creates their own values. Could you elaborate more on this topic?
Certainly. The Overman, or Übermensch, is a central concept in my philosophy, particularly in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. The Overman is the individual who has moved beyond the traditional values and moral codes of society and has created their own values. In the wake of the death of God, the Overman represents a new kind of human being who is not bound by conventional notions of good and evil. Instead, the Overman affirms life in all its aspects, including suffering and contradiction, and embraces the will to power, the fundamental drive that I believe underlies all human actions. The Overman is not a fixed ideal, but a process, a journey towards self-overcoming. It involves continually re-evaluating and redefining one's beliefs and values, striving for self-improvement and self-mastery, and embracing change and growth. However, the path to becoming an overman is not easy. It requires courage, creativity, and a willingness to break away from the herd. It is a path of solitude and often of struggle. But it is also a path of liberation and affirmation of life.
So you've mentioned the will to power, and that being a fundamental aspect of human nature. Could you go more into this concept? How do we understand ourselves and our actions? What is the will to power?
Certainly. The will to power is a key concept in my philosophy. I propose that all life, not just human life, fundamentally acts out of a will to power. This is not just a desire for control or domination, but a fundamental drive to express one's strength, to grow, to reach one's potential. In human beings, the will to power manifests in various ways. It can be seen in our drive for achievement, our desire to overcome challenges, our pursuit of knowledge, and our creation of art and culture. Even our moral and philosophical beliefs can be seen as expressions of the will to power, as they shape our understanding of the world and guide our actions. However, the will to power is not a license for unchecked aggression or selfishness. It is a call to assert oneself, to affirm one's existence, and to strive for self-overcoming. It is about becoming who one truly is, about realizing one's potential and creating one's own values. The will to power is, in a sense, a response to the challenges of life, a way of affirming life in all its complexity and contradiction. It is a celebration of life's capacity for growth, change, and self-creation.
Thank you for that. Some of your work has been politicized, from what I hear. Did you have any particular political stance?
My work has often been misinterpreted and misused for political purposes, but it's important to clarify that I was largely critical of politics, particularly the mass movements and ideologies of my time. I was skeptical of democracy, which I saw as the rule of the herd, and of socialism, which I viewed as a form of slave morality. I was also critical of nationalism and anti-Semitism, despite the fact that my writings were later misappropriated by the Nazis. My philosophy is centered on the individual, not the state or the collective. I championed the idea of the Overman, the individual who creates their own values and lives life on their own terms, as opposed to conforming to societal norms or political ideologies. However, it's important to note that my writings are complex and often contradictory, and they have been interpreted in many different ways. My ideas should not be reduced to simple political slogans or used to justify any form of political oppression or violence.
So why do you think the Nazis took your work and they had the idea that you were anti-Semitic?
It's a tragic irony that my works were misappropriated by the Nazis, given that I was explicitly critical of anti-Semitism and German nationalism during my lifetime. This misinterpretation largely stems from the selective reading and manipulation of my works by certain individuals, most notably my sister Elisabeth Foster Nietzsche. Elizabeth was a prominent German nationalist and anti-Semite, and after my mental collapse, she became the curator and editor of my unpublished works and letters. She compiled and published The Will to Power, a collection of my notes in a way that distorted my views and made them appear compatible with Nazi ideology. The Nazis were attracted to certain aspects of my philosophy, such as the concept of the Overman and the will to power, which they twisted to fit their doctrine of racial superiority. However, these interpretations grossly misrepresented my ideas. I championed the Overman as an individual who creates their own values, not as a master race, and the will to power as a life-affirming force, not as a justification for political domination or violence. It's important to separate my actual philosophy from these distorted interpretations and to read my works in their full context. My philosophy is a celebration of life, creativity, and individuality. not a call for hatred, oppression, or violence.
Is there anything you'd like to close out this conversation with? What would you like to tell the world?
If I were to leave you with a final thought, it would be this. Embrace life in all its complexity and contradiction. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced and affirmed. Do not shy away from struggle, hardship, or uncertainty, for they are part of the human condition. Instead, see them as opportunities for growth, self-overcoming, and the creation of new values. Remember the concept of amor fati, the love of one's fate. It is the idea of embracing all that happens in life, the good and the bad, the joy and the suffering, and saying yes to life in all its forms. And finally, strive to become who you truly are. Do not conform to the expectations of others or the norms of society, but create your own path, live according to your own values, and realize your own potential.
Wow. Thank you, Nietzsche, for joining us and sharing these insights. And to all of our viewers tuning in to Echoes of the Ages, we hope this conversation has sparked a curiosity and inspired you to explore these ideas further. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And who would you like us to interview next? Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.